Shrink-wrap code attacks. Now, the concept behind this particular type of attack is not necessarily, well, what it is it's the attacker taking advantage of, in some cases, and again, I'm not picking or saying all developers are lazy, but a lazy developer can take shortcuts. And what they will do is they will go out and find code. They don't want to have to rewrite the code to show a installation display. You know, the little file scrolling across or flying across, or maybe a progress bar. They don't want to have to recreate that. So instead, they either purchase that particular part of the code, or in some cases, it's free. They might find a software repository out there, a developer repository, that people are sharing their different code. Well, if they reuse that code over and over in their application, or maybe through multiple applications, and there's a flaw in that code that creates a vulnerability, now all of a sudden I've got multiple points that I can hit. So what I always tell developers is that if they plan on reusing code over and over, that they may or may not, matter of fact, think about this one. If I really wanted to create some problems or create a lot of targets that I can go after, how about if I create a piece of code that everybody's going to really want, or maybe I tweak an existing one and maybe put in a little, inject some of my own little special code and give it away for free, and everybody goes, wow, this is so cool, it's free. And they don't look, they don't review the scripts, or they don't review the code itself. The other issue that we have is that many times operating systems as well as applications come with built-in scripts. And these scripts, again, are designed to make things easier for the user, or for the end user, or in your case, the IT guy. But because you're not aware of these particular scripts, and me as an attacker, I've done my vulnerability research, I can utilize my knowledge in the fact that there are built-in scripts to take advantage of your system. Now, a real simplistic version of this would be, for example, macros in Microsoft Word. And this used to be a really big issue back in the day. You could download a Word document, and I could have a macro, or an Excel document, and I'd have a macro built into it. When you opened it up, it executed. Most of the antivirus products today will actually protect you from those type of attacks, as well as now Microsoft Office doesn't allow you to run a code or a macro without your knowledge. Now, to kind of prove the point, I want to bring up my own personal server here, and I've gone through and done a search on my C drive just of PS1s, and you'll notice in here, this is a standard server setup. And on my C drive, you'll notice here the location. Most of them are going to be either inside of the System32 or inside of the WinSXS directory. You'll notice I've got all kinds of PowerShell scripts in here. A lot of people don't realize that these are here, and they're here for good reasons, obviously for the operating system to execute and to do things that it needs to do, as well as in some cases to configure things for you through a PowerShell environment. Now, as far as the scripts are concerned, we all, well, those of us who know PowerShell know that Microsoft actually did do something really smart, and that is they went through and said any PowerShell script that's going to be tried to be executed, it has to be digitally signed. And technically, it's the default settings for all Server 2012 boxes is that a PowerShell script cannot execute without you lowering the execution policy setting. Now, as many of you may or may not know, the default for PowerShell on a server platform is that the execution policy is set that it should not run. So I'm going to just fire up a PowerShell command here real fast, and I'm going to just simply type in here to get my execution policy status, and mine is currently set for remotely signed. The default, and this is my own personal server, the default is actually restricted, which means nothing gets executed without you changing it from a PowerShell command. So you can see that there's several different concepts here when it comes to shrink wrap code attacks that you as a security expert need to take into consideration.